This is the Blaring Out with Eric Blair Show, and today we're coming to you from Rasta Cowboy Records in Old Town Tustin, California, with vocalist, multi-instrumentalist Bonnie Bloomgarden and guitarist Larry Schemel of the band Death Valley Girls. What was your youth like? Were your parents friend or foe?
Friend and foe. Good cop, bad cop situation. I had a really great childhood. My memories of growing up are all really great. My parents were really cool. They weren't really into rock and roll. They were like into like folk music and stuff like that. And that's how I kind of first heard music, was like Kingston Trio, and like they had all these records like the Limelighters and stuff like that.
What did Patty, your sister, teach you after the success of Hole? What advice did she give you?
Just being a witness during that era and become a part of that whole scene, and how huge Hole was. I mean, they were on Saturday Night Live and they're on the cover of Rolling Stone, and like all these things that me and Patty would talk about when we were kids about being a rock star, and all like these were coming true for her. And in stereotypical fashion, the classic rock star drug crash. She's been inspiration as far as how she crashed so hard and is able to come back from all that.
And how she's still like, you just always play music.
Yeah,
like if you're a musician, you're supposed to always play music, and you always feel good like coming back to that. Like even I quit for couple years and I was like, what's the point of life? And it's like music.
You said in an interview with quipmagazine.com that as a kid your parents sent you to a loony bin for some mystical ideas you had. What did you learn from that experience, and what kind of mystical ideas did your parents put you in a loony bin for?
Well, first of all, my parents did not put me there. It's where I ended up, and it's not their fault. I would like to say sorry, Mom and Dad, that I had to go to the loony bin. Having said that, I found out actually yesterday there's an actual term for what started to happen to me. It's a Alice in Wonderland syndrome, where you start to see things as like way bigger and way smaller, and like a lot of just things happen. I had kind of this idea that if you look in people's eyeballs, certain people are different, and you can see their whole like soul, and there's like half of the people in the world are called them, and and if them find out that they're one of them, that like something bad's gonna happen, but I didn't know what, and it was just like this thing you could see, so I just stopped looking at people in the eye for like a year, and then that got kind of weird, and then like I started seeing gigantic deer running around and like all sorts of things, so it was like just time to go to the bin.
Now that you're on your way to becoming a rock star, your life experiences are going to be helping your fans. So if they're dealing with the same things you dealt with, it may be therapeutic for them to hear that there is a way out.
Totally. And I think a lot of the songs on the record, like, which we didn't even realize until people started saying it to us, is like about all these things, and about that it is like life is short. Like, we're so lucky to be here right now, when like our heroes, we are so close to our heroes having just like played all the cool shows. Like we are so close to the 60s, 70s, like we're here now. There's still cool stuff. There's still cool stuff being made. We're so lucky. Life is short. Don't kill yourself. Just like fight, just fight. And like it sucks. And I firsthand, I can understand how hard it is. I think if you're feeling suicidal and stuff, like it's so hard to figure out what to do, for sure, but maybe the best thing you can do is just check yourself in somewhere, or just go to a friend right away and be like, listen, I don't know what's going on, but I don't feel safe, and I need to be around someone, and try that first. What was your motivation for forming the Death Valley Girls?
But it's one of these things where my sister Patty and Bonnie's sister knew each other, and they both had children, and they met at like a play date.
Patty knew that I wanted to play music, and my sister made us do it. Like, she was like, you need to play music, like you haven't played in years. 2 weeks before, Patty was like, hey, you want to meet this Friday? My friend that I was like teaching her how to play bass and stuff, and I told her, I was like, if we don't find a drummer and a guitar player in the next month, I'm out of here. That's it. I can't take this like anymore. Like, I can't wait around, like I'm gonna go back to New York, and then we found them.
How did the writings of Lester Bangs inspire your vision for the Death Valley Girls? Because I know you're a fan, correct?
Yeah, of course.
His passion and love for rock and roll and his writings about it it was so exciting, like back in like the early Cream days and stuff, how he would champion the Stooges and Velvets, all these great bands.
The things that he likes is the things I like, because I thought he was cool at writing.
Yeah, because he was definitely like an outlaw, you know. He was sort of like, I don't know, like the Hunter S. Thompson of rock journalists, and he was kind of out of control, and he was like a rock star.
But it doesn't work now.
Yeah,
like our friends that are like that now, like they don't have a job anymore. Like you can't be like that anymore.
What were the highlights of the Street Venom period?
One of the first things was like, well, you know, this Burger Records label is super cool, and they're like, you know, wouldn't that be cool to like put out a cassette on this label?
Our biggest dream when we first started the band, and Patty's dream too, our biggest dream was to play the Burger Records store. Like beyond, and it was like we couldn't even get like in touch. Like it was just this thing, and we were like, but even beyond playing there, what's the biggest dream? And it's having a cassette on Burger. And then our first show, which was in April
2013.
April 2013, our first show, we played at Burger Records Fullerton, and we met like Sean and Lee, and like they were like, we should put out a cassette, and we were like, wait, what? Like you could have dreams and then they will happen? And then that's what happened. And we recorded Street Venom right away, because we were like, oh, you can't get a show unless you have something for people to listen to. And we're like, let's get in the studio and just record this.
And it also introduced us to our producer who we work with
And our best
since, Mark Rains at Station House Studios.
And we named
in
our
Echo Park.
record after his dog, Darkness. Or that's why our record's called Darkness
Yeah.
Reigns.
During your Burger Records 2016 release, Glow in the Dark, the Death Valley Girls were featured on Last Call with Carson Daly. What was that experience like for you?
It was super bomb. Those guys that all work there are so cool and so nice, and totally like it was the middle of the day, and just me and Pickle came, and we were wearing like our black like bat costumes with the cape and like upside down crosses and just like pentagrams all over us, and just walked into Santa Monica to this place to film. And they were really nice. Like they totally accepted us, and like I think they shot a few other people that day that weren't wearing upside down crosses, and like they treated us like totally normal. It was pretty fun. Like we really want to go on there and play, and hopefully that'll happen in the future. But as far as like going to answer some cool questions, it was pretty fun.
How did the deal with Suicide Squeeze Records come about?
So some friends of ours and a couple other bands, Coat Hangers and Ellie Witch, were on the label.
They're living a good life.
Like the label seemed to be really, you know, pushing them and behind them and really helping them out.
We aspire a lot to be like the Coat Hangers. Like the life that they live and the way they've put out records and all the stuff they've done is what like we want. And it's not asking is it asking too much? Like they get a tour all the time, they get to put out records all the time, and when we went on tour with them, we were just like, oh, like, how did you do that? And they're like, oh, Suicide Squeeze. And we were like, whoa, can we, like, have his number? And they were like, yeah, you can have it. And we were like, whoa. And we just recorded a record, and then we gave it to him, and then we met him. We're like, you seem really cool.
And we just happened to, like, be on tour with the Coat Hangers, Fields, and the Fly Traps. And we we were in Seattle, and we played the show, and we didn't know, but David from Suicide Squeeze was at the show. And then after the show, he's like, hey, man, you know, that's great. Let's talk soon. And it was like the next couple days, he was like, you know, do you guys want to do a record?
If you could collaborate with any legendary musician, living or dead, who would it be? And I'll start off with you, Bonnie.
Iggy Pop.
Okay, living or dead. Okay, you already collaborated with him, though, for a music video.
Iggy Pop.
Okay, and you, Larry?
And I'll answer again for Bonnie because she forgot to say Ronnie Spector.
I know,
her
but I don't
favorite.
want to get greedy.
And, all right. Well,
That's sweet.
yeah.
My dream, my whole dream in my whole life is to be a backup singer. And if I could be a backup singer for Ronnie Spector, I'd be the happiest person in the world. But I don't want to be greedy.
Yeah, well, that could totally happen, too. What inspired the lyrics to the songs TV in Jail on Mars?
So when we played our record release party for Glow in the Dark, sometimes you get to choose the song that happens before you come on, and we chose the Manson song Always Is Always Forever. And something about that just really, I think, is a really great song. It was just like all these voices doing this thing, and I always wanted to do that. We always want to have lock groove. And so we wanted to just layer something that had a real live drum, but then like
hypnotic kind of.
Yeah.
So there's no meaning behind the lyrics?
Oh no, there is.
What is the meaning behind the lyrics?
For all of the songs, pretty much, there's a lot of different themes for each of them. For the last record, we wanted to find out what unites people metaphysically. And this record was kind of, a lot of it was based on this idea that we realize everyone and everything dies. How weird is that? Like, what does that mean to us? What does that mean to other people? Like, if we make a record about it, that means we'll think about it. And the more we think about stuff, the more we learn about it. So, like, what, and that's why almost all of it is about death. Is just kind of like, there's this weird thing that happens to everybody, and everyone feels different about it, but what if we could make them not sad about it? Or what if we could be ourselves not sad? It's just like, we're just working through the idea that everything dies. And that song is about, like, that.
Unzip Your Forehead.
That's just kind of about, like, how stupid people are. Not anyone we know, of course. It's like a joke song, like, just, like, give us your brain so we can take care of it for you.
Abra Camino.
Abra Camino is a magic spell. If you go to, like, any botanica, they have a bunch of different candles. There's things for, like, love, for money, for health, for your success in your job, and all these things. But Abra Camino is this candle. It's the open road. And what it is it's open and fast luck for all the things you want. So it's not limited. And I was always like, why don't people just choose that candle? Like, why do they use, like, a love spell candle? That's boring. That only that's only hitting one bird with your stone. Let's hit all five.
Do you think that life can happen without spells?
I wish I could answer this in any. I mean, yeah, I do.
So how important is fame to you, and could you live without it?
I would prefer that not to have fame.
Yeah, not important.
For the Disaster Is What We're After video, who came up with the idea to recreate the Andy Warhol eating a hamburger short film with punk icon Iggy Pop?
But I just want you to know that I sent Iggy's manager an email yesterday, and he wrote back. And cool. That even is still exciting to me, even though we met Iggy Pop. Like, anything that ever happens with Iggy will always be exciting because he fucking rules so fucking hard.
Kansas Bowling was involved.
Yeah, Kansas was involved. So Kansas had a dream
that Iggy was doing the Warhol video.
Iggy was recreating the Warhol video, and she told us about it, and she's like, and she knew that Iggy had been playing us on his BBC radio show.
Why did he do that?
That's crazy.
Which was already enough for us to be like,
birthday,
you know.
1 year ago was the first time, and we woke up and we saw that it was like on my phone. It was like, Iggy Pop says something about you on Twitter, and I was like, and I was just
That's
like, I wanted to just throw my phone and be like, life's over now.
Yeah.
We're dead. Mm-hmm. Like, it's obviously that we're dead now.
Yeah.
And then yeah.
Yes. And so Kansas told us, and we're like, oh, that's really cool. And she's like, yeah, let's do this. And we're like, okay, sure. So she just went ahead and reached out to Iggy's manager and was like, yeah, Iggy's interested. And then the next thing you know, it was like, all right, is this real? Next thing you know, we're on a plane flying to Miami where Iggy lives, and Kansas and a couple of her friends set up the video shoot and had Iggy come out, and we hung out that day and shot the video, and it was so surreal, so amazing.
We were so scared. Like, we didn't even want to go. We were like, let's not even go. And then at the last minute, we were like, why aren't we going? Yeah. And then we went. Nothing will ever be like meeting Iggy Pop. And I don't care. You know what? That's enough to live the rest of my life. Like, he's such a good, powerful person. Like, we were so scared. And the minute that he came in the room, it was just like,
yeah, he was so cool.
Like, chill, and so he was nice, and he's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful man. It was like the same feeling you get from seeing his shows where you're just like, we're all here together, everything's cool. Mm-hmm. It was like he just chilled the room, and like I sat next to him and I didn't even feel weird, and I was like so scared of even like what happens if we like look each other in the eye. Like, am I gonna explode?
Tied his tie and got him in the suit.
Because he doesn't know how to tie a tie. And I didn't know how come I ever learned.
Yeah,
but
and
it was
he took
for
the job
that
really,
reason.
He took it really seriously. He wasn't like, whatever. He was like, now,
He
because
listened
he looked
to the
at
song once and then knew the entire structure and
looked at the Warhol video just to be like, okay,
make
like,
sure
when does he crumple up? He wanted to
and
really
he practiced
do
it a bunch of times. He's like, wait, first you open the paper, then you put the burger. No, wait, first you open the paper, then you put first you put the ketchup, and he like kept on practicing. Yeah. But then he was just like, he listened to the song once and like knew the whole structure, every like minutia of like vocal and like horn detail, and I was just like, this is real Iggy, dude.
I'm just curious, did you have any lifelong questions that you wanted to ask him, or did you just feel like, I'm not worthy?
There was so many things we wanted to talk to him about, but it was like at that moment, it was almost like we were just hanging out. Like we were all friends, and it seemed kind of like, I don't know. Yeah, like there was no need to talk about like, when you were recording The Idiot, we just wanted to like hang out, and he seemed so relaxed, and we were all having such a good time that it seemed like this is it.
But also because it was like a Warhol thing, I think he didn't want to mess it up.
Because I think, he was friends with Warhol and respected him, and he thought the concept was super cool.
Because afterwards he asked, which is cute, and I feel bad, but like he asked like little questions to Kansas, the director, if things were like good enough, and it's like, I think he wanted it to be as true to the original movie as possible, and I think that's really cute and really awesome. His team posted the things that were more Warhol-centric, instead of like some of the things that were based more on like Iggy just eats a burger on this video. He really was into like Iggy recreates the Warhol thing. We walked around in the daytime. This is how weird it was, is we did this at like 11 in the morning. Like he doesn't wake up before 4. Like we are nighttime people. Really? We don't like the sun. We think that shit sucks. We went to Miami in the middle of the summer, like July, the end of it. Went to Miami. Like afterwards we like walked on the beach, like we met Iggy and then we walked on the beach in Miami in the middle of summertime, and then it started raining. We're like, cool, like now we can like survive, and then on the beach, and then after we got back to like the place we were staying at like 1 p.m. and went to sleep. And then we were just like, that's our day. I think we only ate at Burger King.
Yeah, that was a Burger King.
We ate at Burger King.
What inspired the music video for More Dead with Kansas Bowling and Parker Bowling, and why the special thanks to Charles Mansion?
The Charles Mansion is the name of Kansas and Parker's house that they live at. That has nothing to do with anything. They're just cool and funny. Our friend Dylan Greenberg made that video. She's super cool. We met her when we went to Troma. When we were in New York, we just were like, let's just go to Troma. And then we went there and met all of those interesting people, Lloyd Kaufman and everybody. They had like alien dildos that that would like move if you sang to them. Like the weirdest shit you've ever seen in your life, just like giant like intergalactic balls of goo hanging in it. It was like the weirdest place you've ever been.
Toxic Avenger warehouse of weird, and Lloyd and his circus of people, and Dylan was part of that, and we really hit it off with Dylan, and she told us about like she made videos and movies and worked with people like Richard Kern, and we're like, cool, and she did a video for James Chance, and like some really cool stuff.
And she's friends with a lot of we have a lot of friends in common, and she's worked a lot with Kansas, and Kansas worked with her at Troma, and then she was like, I'm going to be in LA for 9 days. Should we make a video? And we're like, yeah. And then she came out to LA and we made a video. To be honest, the video it's like an anti-suicide song. Yeah. And Parker and Kansas were in it, and all our buds are in it. And we didn't really know what we were doing. It was the first time we've ever done a video where we're just like, okay, we'll be in it if you make us. Like, we liked it to be mysterious, like who's in the band or whatever, but it was just like us, and we went to this cool Bat Cave.
The Bat Cave is the Bat Cave in Bronson County, where the Batman TV show, like that cave. There was like an old, really cool Misfits photo shoot that they did at the cave. So I was like, this is the cave. Yeah. So we did a photo shoot there too. This dystopian, like Planet of the Apes forbidden zone out there. Yeah. It's like
we lost the iguana, and then also like they're like Kansas and Parker are so funny, but it's like they just got this iguana. We were going out to the Bat Caves, like in the middle of this giant like wilderness, and we were like, please don't bring the iguana, you're gonna lose it. She was like, I want to bring it for the video, and we're like, 2 minutes into the walk, the iguana just leaps.
Jumps off her
yeah,
shoulder
and
into
then
the woods.
and then when we came back, like she was so sad during the whole shoot, and like the light was like the park closes at 8, like they locked that, and we were like running down the hill, and we're like losing the iguana, finding the iguana, not finding the iguana, and like it was like it's always like a lot of
yeah. So I think the iguana is still out there, probably living in
Loveland.
the cave.
Actually, probably enjoying himself.
I think it's Loveland.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's and then they got Hateland
The new
to
lizard.
replace Loveland, but like Hateland was mean. Go figure.
Favorite Iggy Pop solo album? Solo album.
Idiot?
Okay, that's his first one. That's really good.
Is that not okay?
No, that's the first album. Night clubbing, we're night clubbing.
When we played it, the first show we were gonna play, we were gonna cover that, but I got too scared because I was like, I'm too scared to do covers. I've never done karaoke, and I'm too scared.
That is a great song.
I kind of go back and forth with them because I really like when I listen to New Values. I think like that is like this classic album. If I was like, you have to name you can only own this one solo album of Iggy's, it'd probably be The Idiot. But they're all so good. Like New Values, I think is it's not appreciated enough, and I also like Soldier and Party are really underappreciated, and especially Party, which I think has some really cool songs on it, but a lot of people just kind of write that one off like, oh, it's too like pop or too like has this really 80s thing to it, but there's some really cool songs like Pumpin' for Jill and Houston is Hot Tonight, like these really cool songs, but it doesn't get and Soldier has Dog Food. Like Dog Food, which is a Stooges song that never got like properly recorded.
Why is the founder of the 13th floor elevator, Rocky Erickson, such a icon to the Death Valley Girls?
Rocky is a true rock and roll survivor, a true original. This is all he does, all he's known and all he's done since he was a teenager. And to have the body of work from the Elevators through his solo stuff.
He's influenced everyone that plays right now. But also, like, what he's into is so cool, and what we think is cool. You know, like horror, occult, like rock and roll and drugs. Like, we don't do drugs, but we think they're cool. You know, we don't want other people to do them.
Been there.
Yeah,
so
been there, done that. But, like, it's still, that's, like, what rock and roll is about.
So what would you like your legacy to be?
I just want more people in the world to be happy.
Tell me about bassist Alana Amram and drummer Laura Harris. What do they bring to the sound of the Death Valley Girls?
They're super bomb.
Yeah, like really, really great musicians. And also on their own, like Laura is also in a band called X-Hex with Mary Timony from DC. And
He's a great guy.
Yeah, great guy. She's super cool.
Such
excellent
a good
drummer.
Like really one of the best.
Yeah, and her and Alana as a rhythm section.
A perfect rhythm
so
section
solid.
for sure. They really helped bring the songs together. Like the 2 days that like we recorded those songs. We were just like, this is the idea, and they're so good that they like did it. You know what I mean? And and I still listen to a lot of the bass parts. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
That's bomb. And like the drumming, like it's just it's so good. Like they really are a great rhythm section, and I hope that they're both happy forever.
The Blaring Out Show.